It's so good to be back here in my favorite venue for talking. I love this room. It's been over 2 years. I've been coming here for years, maybe 8 to 10. And I love working with Mark Hudson. He's an amazing world-class professional and also very congenial. So thank you, Mark. And so today is a day of celebration for me to be back here. And it's also a time of celebration for all of us because the pandemic is lifting and life is returning, right? And light is returning. What a day we have, huh? And after 2 years of relentless losses and our lives falling apart, things are shifting again. And you know, in the midst of all those stressors that the pandemic brought, there was at least one real plus. And that was, it reminds me of what Buddha said, it is only in stopping that we can see. So we were stopped, weren't we? We were stopped in our tracks in March 2020. But as time went by, we could see our lives more clearly. We had so much time to reflect on them. We saw what worked, what didn't work, hopefully, what matters most to us. We awakened to that. So now people love that door, but I'm sorry. Now is a very good time to consider renewal. We've been kind of stuck for 2 years, understandably, right? So now we're at a new juncture and it's time. Lynn, is that Lynn? Come on in, we're just getting started. We missed a little bit. So we're talking about how the pandemic's ending. We're going to embrace life again. Yes. And embrace renewal. So if you want to stop struggling with life and take a deep dive into positive changes, if you want to create a new life by making a series of conscious choices, I invite you to take a road trip with me. Now, I wish it could be real, but it's a metaphorical road trip. Our trip is going to be on Renewal Road, and we're going to stop at places of beauty, places of nourishment, sites of renewal energy. But before we get on the road, we have to prepare. Now, you know how when you're taking a trip, you prepare, right? I mean, if you're going by car, if your car's like mine, you have to declutter it and you might need a tune up of your car or get oil. But for our trip, we want to prepare ourselves. And we may have issues within that need healing from the rigors of the pandemic and the stressors of the pandemic. What stands out for me are the pandemic was marked by fear, relentless losses. I lost 6 people I care about in 2 years. And is it Nancy? Nancy. And Nancy looks like she did too. And then there was the isolation. So in a little while, I'm going to pause for a minute and have you go within to check out what within you might need loving attention, what might need to be healed. And one of the reasons we're doing this before the trip is because if you have something in you that isn't named or isn't expressed, it takes up a lot of space. And we want to clear out some inner space for renewal grace. Doesn't that have a nice sound to it? Before I pause, I have 2 requests of each of you and those of you on Zoom. I think it's Patty and Linda. Hi, ladies. I wish you could be here. So the 2 requests I have are this. Interact with me. Use your voice. ask questions, make comments, use examples. I believe you all have wisdom inside of you. So I don't want to be the only one sharing. I'd like to have a dialogue with you. I'd like us to co-create this. And so please use your voice, even if it's not comfortable. It's a time to stretch our comfort zones, right? Like right now, I'm stretching my comfort zone by looking in the screen when I'd rather look at you the whole time. At any rate, okay, so that's my first request, that you talk to me. The second is that we promise confidentiality, because sometimes someone will share something deep and personal. I value that. I want such a person to feel safe here. So I would like us to, if you're willing, excuse me a minute. If you're willing, say yes to confidentiality. Is it a yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now this is a safe space. I trust you all. Okay, so now I'm going to pause for 1 minute and I'm inviting, whoops, I'm not allowed to do that. My usual style is to walk all around, right, Rhonda? So I'm inviting you to go into the interior and look at your inner self with the idea that you want to locate anything that needs loving attention. Okay? And then my hope is some of you might share a little, but no pressure. Okay, I'm going to be quiet now for 1 minute. Okay, we can come back together. Does anybody want to share? Yes. No, wait, let me try to remember your name.
Melanie.
And it's such a unique name. Melanie, tell us what you want to share.
Well, I read, I don't know, a couple weeks ago about your program and what it was about. So I was thinking about it and I realized I kept saying, I don't know if I can do such and such. And that's not typically me. I just
Oh,
do it. So I'm
uh-huh.
gonna start saying, I can do this. I think I can do it. And I think it was because of the fears of being
Yes.
isolated and not knowing where I should go and if I should wear a mask.
Exactly. So much uncertainty. Yes, that is, thank you so much for sharing that, Melanie. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. We lost some self-confidence, like, I don't know if I can, because we weren't doing what we usually do. But the wonderful thing is it's still, you're reclaiming it. It didn't go away. You're reclaiming it.
I'm trying to.
If you keep saying, I can, you're reclaiming it. You're more than trying. Because those positive statements have power, Melanie. Just as if you said, I can't, that would have power too.
I know.
Right? So I'm grateful that you shared that. I'm sure it affects a lot of people that way. And I hope that some of the other things we talk about might encourage you to do all the more positive thinking. Now, I saw a hand over here and then I'll come over. Nancy, Mimi?
Well, this is kind of a variation on that theme, and that's motivation, I've kind of lost my motivation. And I had a real schedule, I would exercise every day. I had an exercise class every day and I would go to it. And I found it's very hard to get back into that routine. And the other thing is,
May I interrupt to say, what's helping you? Are you getting back into the routine?
well, kind of just,
Do-
self-determination.
Doing
Yeah.
it, doing it.
Yeah, just forcing myself, even when I sometimes don't feel like it.
Right,
So-
pushing a little to
Right.
get back in the groove.
Right. And the other thing is reconnection. And I just realized that recently because I ran into some people that, I live in Oakmont, which isn't big. And there are people that I haven't seen in 2 years that live in Oakmont. And I ran into a couple people recently and I thought, my gosh. And the other thing is I talked to my nephew's wife this morning and I thought, I haven't seen some family members. We used to have a big Christmas party and a big family reunion every year, and we haven't had that for 2 years. And it's
Yes,
like, I miss so much
yes.
over, I have no idea what
The
what they've been up
losses.
to, what they've been doing,
Right.
what's going on. And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Relentless losses of all kinds.
Mhm.
The family events, seeing your neighbors. Yes, thank you, Mimi.
Well, my church, the church that I go to last November, it was October, second weekend in October, we have women's retreats. Well, we hadn't had them for a couple of years. And so this one this year was reconnecting.
Ah,
And there were actually over 25 women there. Everybody wanted to reconnect.
wonderful. That's a good sign. Excellent.
And then on the third Saturday of every month, from 9 to 10:30 at the church, we have reconnecting for women. And so it's
Sounds like a vital church,
so
addressing important needs. Well, thank you, Melanie.
a lot of retired people.
Hey. And Nancy, you wanted to say something?
Yes, this has to do with close family members. None of them are vaccinated, and I haven't seen them in a few years. And they're stubborn, they won't get vaccinated. I have all my vaccines.
Yes. Mhm.
And so it's sad.
It's very sad. It's very sad. All you could do would be ask them. And you said they're very adamant about it.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So do they know?
Political.
Yes, do they know that you're sad about it, Nancy? You-
Yes, I don't feel free.
Right.
They're up there, so.
Right. I don't know of anything else you can do.
Well, they're
Ex-
coming down just for a day, they're flying down.
Oh.
and flying back. Their father, my late husband, they're gonna see their father at the cemetery. They're gonna visit.
Uh-huh. And will you,
Cold to be, if you're out in the open.
Yes.
open air,
yes,
or outside at a restaurant or whatever. This is gonna be in June.
uh-huh. Well, hopefully you'll be outside
Yeah.
and you'll be able to reconnect.
Yeah, but
And
they can't come into my.
I
house.
hear you and I understand that you're standing by your own values
Yes.
of
Well, not
protection.
only that, my health.
Well, that's what I meant. You
Yeah.
value your health. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's sad, Nancy. And again,
One day,
I'm sure that you aren't alone. The mask thing has caused much distress and conflict within families. And, it's another form of loss. So when we get to a part about emotional self-care, I hope that you will hear things that you could apply to these situations. If you still have a question about it after I've shared, just keep asking, okay? Because as you know, I value this. Lynn,
I'm a bit of an introvert, and this whole thing just made me more of an introvert. And it was just so easy to participate in Zoom.
yes,
It's so
yes,
easy to continue to participate.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to pull myself away from that today and come here because I know I needed to be out and be with people again. And Also, I've developed some health problems that maybe I don't want to get out. I wanna stay
Yeah, I
home.
hear you.
You know,
Yeah,
I
it's
made myself- I
comfortable.
made myself go to the gym yesterday
Mhm.
just because I've got to get some strength back because I've been sick.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
You know, I tore a muscle in my leg, so I'm not walking very well. I mean, at my age, I can't stop walking for goodness sakes, you know, and I'm off my cane now, and so that's good.
Yes.
So,
And you made it here today?
yes, I did.
And Lynn has
I
been a
came here and I said,
regular.
I thought I'm getting demented, that changed the parking. What does it mean, put back in here?
Well, you're chuckling.
I am.
Life is
I am. I'm
returning.
laughing about it, but all I
Yes.
can say is, you know, I'm an introvert. This
Yes.
made me more of an introvert.
I hear
I
you.
need to get out. I want to
Mhm.
stay home.
So you have to choose. You have to
I've
make a
gotta sort
choice.
of Motivate myself. As she said. I'm
As
not
Mimi
motivated
said,
out.
yeah,
I just
but
don't
you
motivate.
push a little. You're
I
here
have a lot
today.
going on in my head. As they say, introverts don't need to go out to play. We've got a lot going on in here.
Well, I'm glad you came out to play
Thank
today.
you.
It's good to see familiar face. Now, Lynn and Rhonda, they've been coming to a lot of the talks, and Mimi sometimes. So it's great to see new faces and familiar
I'll always
faces.
come when I see you here.
Well, thank you,
Always,
Lynn.
always.
I'll try to come every week so you can get out.
Thank you.
I'm teasing, but I am coming
I need to
June,
make appointments with you. Get back together.
June 10th. Mark your calendar for
Okay,
part
I'll
2
write
of
it
this.
down.
Okay, anyone else want to share? I appreciate this. This is what I was hoping for. Let's get these themes out. We know we're not alone with them. Rhonda,
This doesn't have to do with COVID, but I find more and more, every single thought that you think about anything and everything, even yourself, is so important. And everything you speak out of your mouth, you speak it into existence. You have to be very careful. You can think whatever you want to think, but be very careful when you speak it out. That's what I've been learning this whole.
that's an
5 years.
important learning.
Very important.
And I really resonate with what you said about every thought. That's what every thought has power. I'm going to talk about that later, but it's crucial to be aware of what we're thinking and then to decide, do we want to translate it to the words or not? So thank you for that. Mhm. Anyone else? Okay, well, I appreciate that sharing. And so what I want to do now is share with you 2 forms of taking care of yourself with every single issue that's been raised. I think there would be an application. The first one is emotional self-care. Now, virtually every one of you, there was an emotion implied, and it was usually loss and sadness about that. And well, let me say this, the emotions are, there are only 4: fear, sorrow, anger, and joy. We're not going to talk about joy now, maybe when we get on the road to renewal, but everything else you might feel is a derivative. So if you say, oh, I'm so disappointed, that could be sadness, or it could be anger. But you know, a lot of people are uncomfortable with anger and they mask it some way unconsciously. So just be aware, these are the 3 big ones, and they have power. Now, so many people that I've worked with have learned in childhood, don't feel them, don't feel them, ignore them. They're annoying. Don't bother with them. That is dangerous behavior because, well, let me give you a definition of emotion, because I've been passionate about this for decades, because in my work, I work with so many people who didn't have a clue that they should honor their emotions and that they were valuable. So here is a beautiful definition that I found just this year from Matthew Kelly, who's a spiritual writer. Have any of you heard of him? He's really good. He's really practical. But anyway, here's his definition, and I'll repeat it if you want to. Emotions are visitors from your heart. No problem, Lynn, I understand. Each one comes to teach you something about yourself. something very specific. Be hospitable to these guests. They are only passing through, but they will stay until you attend to them. There's a lot of wisdom in that. Do you want, and I'll unpack it for you. Do you want, should I repeat that?
Yes.
Emotions are visitors from the heart, meaning it's from you to you. Each one comes to teach you something very specific. Be hospitable to these guests. They're only passing through, but they will stay until you attend to them. So let me, as I said, unpack this a little bit. So how do we attend to our emotions? There's a 3-word, what's the word I want here? Recipe or mantra that you may have heard. Name, claim, and tame. Have any of you ever heard this? Okay, well, it's very practical and it will apply to any emotion. So name it. We can't change what we don't name. It's too vague. So go within and figure it out. What am I feeling now? Name it, claim it. How do you claim it? By saying I feel angry. No one can make you feel anything. You know, you often hear that. You make me angry. That can't happen. What can happen is you could say, when you do X, when you talk to me like that, comma, I feel angry. I feel angry. So in emotions, use the pronoun I, claiming them. Then how do you tame them? Express them. Talk about them like you did today. Put words to them. Get them out of your body. Because when they stay in your body, remember what Matthew's last line was? They won't go away until you attend to them. When they stay in unexpressed emotions, don't go away. You could have some in there for decades. I'll give you an example of that in a minute. So you want to tame them by talking about them. If they're big, it's good to talk to a person. It's good to be listened to. Wow, wait till you hear this. You don't have to say it to the person that triggered it unless you want to, but it's crucial to tell the story. Telling about what you're experiencing is extremely therapeutic. But if you ignore them, they will hurt your body. Nancy gets it. She's shaking her head. Every emotion has energy. Think of it, anger. You could feel the energy, right? Fear, you often feel in your stomach. Butterflies, sorrow in the heart area. If you don't express it, that energy stays there. It lowers your immune system. It affects your blood pressure. It is amazing. Now, they've studied this recently, not when I was starting out. We relied on other sources, but now it's on medical websites like Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, that if you don't express emotions, they're going to hurt you. Rhonda.
Louise Hay.
Yes.
All her information is phenomenal. Back in, I want to say.
Way back. Yep.
80s.
Yes, I love that.
I had taken a couple classes through the college and it was just phenomenal. It was Louise Hay.
Yes.
H-A-Y.
She died recently. The book I love is called You Can Heal Yourself. Is that? Oh, You Can Heal Your Life. She's real practical, real concrete. She's the one that introduced me to the idea that certain emotions connect to certain areas of the body too. Like fear always goes to the stomach. So a lot of people that have irritable bowel syndrome, etc., it's real, and it may have been caused by decades of warehousing fear. This is true. This is real. The other thing it does is it can fog your mind. Unexpressed emotions are energy, so they can, if you ever have an attack of mind fog, ask yourself, is there something I need to express?
What's this person's name again?
Louise Hay,
Louise, okay.
H-A-Y. Yes, she's wonderful. She was a pioneer on this whole topic.
Okay.
But, okay.
I was just going to make a quick comment, if I could.
Well, I wanted to tell you about how if you don't express a feeling, it can stay alive for decades. I had a client who was the oldest client I ever had. And I was thrilled when she walked in because she was 65. She believed, hey, it's never too late to change. I loved working with her. So I'm going to try to summarize the story. Her presenting problem was she always felt a little bit depressive, not about little things, big things, but not outright clinical depression, but she was tired of being depressive. So a lot of therapy is excavation. We excavate together your life to see if we can find the cause. So we went all the way back, I'll call her Mary, to her childhood. And she told me her sister died when she was like, let's say the sister was 6 and Mary was 5. And so Mary was crying, right? And her mother said, stop. I have enough tears. So in that moment, like a good girl, she stopped feeling. But all that emotion impacted her behavior of the depressiveness, sense of loss. So that's why I'm hoping you will honor your emotions and take good care of them. Okay, any questions about that before I get to the second self-care strategy I want to give you before we get on the road? We are going to get on the road. We're not going to do the whole road today, but we're going to get started, and I want you to come back on June 10th, please.
Learned that in our yoga class. The first one we had before COVID shut it down. Used to tell us, to say, I am well, I feel good, I am loved.
Yes.
Whatever. Because, and I know that affects your subconscious because we are taught to be fearful. It's part of our history, like you say, the fight and flight and all of that.
Right.
That's innate in us. So you can reprogram that,
Absolutely.
but I forget
Re-
sometimes.
Well, hey, but you're on the way I like to call it retrain your brain,
Yeah.
because a lot of the learning we did in childhood, etc., even beyond that, isn't healthy, and it can be self-sabotaging. Well, in fact, that's our next topic, so I'll go there. But thank you, because that is so important to say and affirm yourself. Support yourself. You deserve it. Life is difficult. If we don't support ourselves, it's even more difficult, right? I saw a hand over there, Brent.
I disagree. I can't retrain myself. I'm a lot older than 65. I'm in my 80s. And I've been trying to get out of this feeling that I have of regret and what's the word I want? That I'm not good enough. And to get out of all these feelings, what I've done for years and years, the only way I can get over it is to exercise, swimming and walking, and I do a lot of it every day.
Well,
That's the only way I can
Well,
feel better,
that's,
and I can't.
well, Brent, I
retrain myself.
want to share my hope. I know you can do it. It's possible. Maybe you just haven't had the right input or the right encouragement. And I'm hoping that the next thing I share might help you. And then when we get on the road of renewal, there are places we're going to stop, different sites that could help you. So just for now, try to open your mind a little bit to say, maybe, okay, open your mind. And I thank you for letting us know. It's hard. It's very hard. I mean, I couldn't say the pronoun I till I was over 30. I had to learn to say I because I was too afraid to say I, because if I was wrong, and I made a mistake, people would disapprove of me. So these things are deep in patterns, but we have the potential and we have a lot of power within us that we often aren't aware of, which we'll be talking about the next time probably. So please come back on June 10th, because I can't get to the heart of the matter today because we need to do this preparation. But thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Okay, so wow, you guys both look much younger. God bless you.
Yeah.
God
she's
bless
not
you.
that much older than me. I'm 75.
Well, you all look ageless to me, and I love looking at you. Yeah.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
went to New Orleans with my cane. Right?
the cane helps.
5 days, good food for you.
See, you did it. You got out. You overcame your introversion. Right.
I do, yeah, a little bit.
Okay. I'm so delighted to know you went to New Orleans. Okay, so the second coping skill I want you to have before we get on the road is to banish negative self-talk. It's the #1 killer of personal growth. Now, let me flesh that out for you. We have over 100,000 thoughts a day. I think that's the number. Anyway, you get it. We have all these thoughts all day.
It's hard to remember how many.
Yes, but it's an incredible amount. Now, every thought has power, as I was beginning to say to Rhonda, and she said it too. Every thought has power. And what do most people do with all that power? Negative self-talk. I'm not okay. I'm not good enough. Something's wrong with me. This is called self-sabotaging behavior. And you have the power to choose and say, no, no, these thoughts do not belong in my precious mind. And here is one strategy for dealing with it. And we're going to have another one on the first stop of our road trip. The first strategy is called the ABCs of thought stopping. A, aware. You've got to stay awake now. Remember, hopefully pandemic with its challenges also awakened us to be more aware of ourselves. So aware, that thought is hurting me. B, block it. How? No, no, say no, and shift it to a new thought. C, change. Whatever you focus on expands. So if you stay with one negative thought, guess what? It's going to get bigger and bigger, and you can be in charge of that. I'm sure you can, and we'll work on that. We'll refer to this again, but for now, yes, changing this habit is the hardest challenge I've ever had. And I mean, I still don't get it all the time, but I mean, after many years, I'm pretty adept at saying, Eileen, you don't want to go there. Shift the focus. Shift the focus. Did you see those trees out there today? They're all blossoming. Focus on beauty. Well, we're going to say more about that later, so I don't want to do too much. But just say no to, here are the typical ones: grumbling, gossip, complaining. And we had a lot of that to do during the pandemic. I mean, we all did it, you know, but we don't want to put our tent under negative self-talk. Judging ourselves and others, put downs of ourselves and others, worrying, what if, what a waste of our great energy. So the second, let's see what I'm going to say about that. So this project is very difficult, but the reward is priceless if you do it. Not that you're 100%, but you're really doing it. The priceless reward is you have more peace, because mind is the worst torturer. Have you ever felt tortured by your mind? Well, guess what? You can drop the whip. You have a choice. You're in charge. This power grid of whatever that number is, over 60, I don't want to try to say that number again. It's the only thing you can be in charge of. The only thing. You can't be in charge of what happens today or what the weather is. You can be in charge of your words, as Rhonda pointed out, and your behavior to some extent. But the thoughts, you can have total control. And it's priceless and it brings inner peace. So I hope remember, this is your preparation for our road trip. Okay. Let me see. Any comments about that before we're going to get on the road? Yes, Rhonda.
Joyce Meyer said a couple months ago, to complain is to remain. That's stuck in my
Wow.
brain.
I love, hey, you made another, I
literally,
love that.
It like smacked me in the face. I was watching her on TV and I was like my jaw.
I love it. Thank you. You are clearly into growing the way you share, and I really affirm you for that. Yeah, absolutely. Say that again? If you complain, you
Complain
is to,
remain.
okay,
In the negativity.
right, wherever you are. Yes. Nance, did you want to say something?
I didn't hear. what you
Oh,
said,
okay.
Sherry.
To complain is to remain, and complaining is negative. So you're putting your tent in that negative spot.
You remember way back in school when the teacher would tell you the rain in Spain caused me
Yes.
on the plane? That clicked into my brain because of that.
Oh.
Like those two, I don't know.
The rhymes or,
whatever you call them, yeah. It's like-
Well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. I'm going to make a note of that when I go home.
Well, that's Joyce Meyer.
Okay, but you delivered it, so take credit. Okay, so we're going to get on the road now. We can get on the road, but do you have any questions about anything so far before we get on this exciting road of renewal? Okay, so we, yeah. Yes. No, hey, no apologies necessary.
Comparing yourself to others. Have you-
Oh, no, I didn't, but you're right.
This is my downfall. I compare myself to the fastest swimmer, the fastest reader, the smartest person, the best runner, the best gardener, the people person that builds
Oh,
house,
oh
the
dear.
smartest, And not to, I don't compare myself to the average person.
I can
If
tell.
I do that, then I'd be all right.
Well, no, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. I'll tell you why. Comparisons are not healthy. None.
How can you not compare yourself? You see them.
Well, that doesn't have to switch into comparisons. The comparison you want to make is you to you. Here I am. I want to go this way. I will compare. I want to grow this way. Compare,
They can see that you're not as good as.
but
they
it
are.
doesn't matter.
It does.
No,
It doesn't.
no. You,
All those runners and
no,
marathon on
Brent.
TV, they're not comparing
No.
themselves with the Ethiopian who's gonna win. They're
no.
comparing themselves with their last
Mhm.
time.
And they don't even care about you.
Right, right. No. So this is something you've learned, Brent, and it's hurting you. I'm so glad you came because at least you can hear us. And I think I'm more than just me.
It's hard to do
that
anything if you compare yourself to all
don't-
those people. My goodness.
No, well, that's why.
Well, you can
I
stop.
bet you are good at a lot of things, but you won't let yourself be known.
Okay, I'm better than the average mate.
It doesn't,
I bet you're better than the worst person on their best.
it
day.
doesn't matter. You know, Brent, it only matters for you to embrace and accept yourself. Accept yourself. No one's perfect.
My husband tells me
Maybe.
that, my sister tells me that, my kids tell me that, but I don't
You've got, well, then you have to shift. You have to think about this. You have a choice to make. You can stay stuck in comparisons. And you're right. I've got to add that to my list. Don't compare. It's not healthy.
Do you like?
And we're all unique.
well, I can change those, yeah,
Okay, let's hear
but,
from you.
well, I'm.
Name them, claim them.
I don't want to take time.
Well, we want to hear them. We heard the other
Well,
stuff.
tell us a couple things, Brett.
Well, I have a master's degree in organ performance.
Wow.
And piano. and harp.
Wow.
And I can draw and I can, my quilts have won.
Wow. You're artistic and creative.
But
Yeah,
not
but,
as good as the best
It
ones.
doesn't matter.
I
Oh,
can't do any of that.
yeah, I can't do that either.
I'm
You,
proud of
you are exercising one of the highest gifts, creativity. You are exercising that, expressing it, but you're not taking in the blessings of it. I'm going to guess, and I hope you won't be offended by this, but I care about you treating yourself like this. I'm going to guess that somewhere way back, you learned something that wasn't true about you. And you've lived as if that was true, that I have to be perfect or, and so what your goal, what I believe your work might be, Brent, to unlearn that. Unlearn it. It's self-sabotaging.
But I'm not the only one in this room like that, am I?
I'm not going to answer that. How would I know that?
I am not a perfectionist and I don't really want to be.
No.
At my age, I don't have to be
I don't want to be either.
because
I can't help it.
Yes, you can. You're not, you aren't helping it. And I'm not judging you, believe me. I'm not judging you, but in order for you to change, you have to want to change.
There's a difference in being the best and being good enough.
Good enough,
Good
yes.
enough, good enough is great.
You are enough.
Are you a good enough mother?
Oh, no, I wasn't good at
Okay.
all. But my
Well-
kids
Or were you a bad mother?
You know what? Excuse me, but we have to end this part
I know.
because but I'm glad you brought it up. I just realized we have to wind down, but I want to wind down by encouraging you that the way you're living doesn't have to continue and to try to practice some, what we're going to talk about right now, maybe a very easy practice. But thank you for sharing and please come back on June 10th because I want a chance to chisel away at that stuckness you have. Okay, but good you came today. Okay, so now we're going to get on the road. We're going to have time. It's already 3:20. So we're going to have time for one stop. And we're going to stop at Gratitude Gardens. Doesn't that sound wonderful? And just think of a garden, think of all the blossoms and the beauty in a garden. Because gratitude helps you to blossom. Gratitude is the only easy practice I know that has power to impact you. It's amazingly powerful, gratitude, and it's so easy. Okay, let me say a few words about gratitude. Are you using your imagination to imagine the garden? You know, imagination is a wonderful power. We have to make pictures. And sometimes we use that to pull ourselves down too. So make a picture of a beautiful garden and see yourself in there. Maybe all of us are in there together, roaming around and looking. And when you express gratitude, it makes you more aware of the good in life. And because whatever you focus on expands. So there's always so much to be grateful for. We'll do a little of that in a minute. It pushes away the negative self-talk because if you fill your mind with, hey, thank you for, wow, look at that, thanks, I'm grateful. There's less space for the negativity, right? So it improves your immune system even, isn't that amazing? That gratitude gives you a tune-up. And now this is again on websites, it's not just my opinion. It puts you in a better mood. It makes you more of a positive person. And here is a quote from the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. Gratitude is strongly linked to good mental health and life satisfaction. Now, isn't that wonderful? Let's do it right. Let's do some right now so that we can experience some renewal energies. Okay, so just call out something you're grateful for and try to make it specific. When I've ask groups to do this, they often say, I'm grateful for family. I'm grateful for friends. They're good. I like that. But name something specific that you're, just say it. We don't have to raise our hands. Yes. Nobody else is great. There you go. Right. Something that basic, a good mattress.
So wonderful.
Wonderful. Okay, who else? Come on.
Eileen,
Rhoda?
I have PTSD from a really bad car accident, and we've had nonstop construction in our neighborhood since November, off and on every day. I literally woke up to 2 huge backhoes in my backyard. I had such a bad panic attack that I stood up on, I didn't know where the sound was coming from or what was, but that metal crunching. triggered it.
Oh,
I was standing on my bed. I was so scared I couldn't even scream. It
Aw.
was horrific. And when you said about being thankful, I'm so thankful that it's winding down. But every day, we don't know whether we're gonna have heat or gas. We have 5 gas leaks on our street, and we only have 8 houses on our.
oh
street.
my gosh.
My house, like our street, it isn't even to the end of the park. Like, how bad is that? Like, nobody was doing their job. Nobody cared.
Sounds very challenging. I'm glad it's almost over.
When that house blew up in Plumboro, the day before that blew up was when they finally fixed our gas leaks, which went on for 2 months.
Wow, a challenge indeed. Anyone else? Grateful, grateful. Come on, come on.
Every morning when I get up, I'm grateful for the sun, the rain.
Yes, excellent.
Yeah.
Melanie, yes, you, okay, I was going to save this quote to the end, but you are agreeing with Marcus Aurelius, the ancient Roman. Listen to what he said. When you wake up in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive. Alive. Let's not take life for granted. We had a wake-up call with 2 years of semi-life, you know? Okay,
Eileen,
I'm going to start over.
Eileen,
When you wake up in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, and to love. So you and Marcus are on the same page. Anyone else want to say what they're grateful for?
Eileen,
Well, just, hey, okay, here, okay, I'm going to give you a way. Make it a habit, make it a ritual. See, whatever, as Aristotle said, the ancient Greek, how did he say this now? Whatever, oh God, I lost it. It's about habits. I'm sorry, next time. Anyway, try this ritual. Before you get out of bed in the morning, before you put your slippers on, give thanks for 3 things.
I used to do that. I don't know why I started doing that.
Well, you can start again, Lynn.
Yeah, I used to get, one morning it was for my fuzzy slippers. I
Yeah, good, good.
More fuzzy slippers.
Well, and you know, for me, I say, oh, thank you, Lord, that I have a furnace. Thank you that I have a roof.
I think that we had our last gas for winter last night.
I hope so. Right.
That's
Yes,
our big cross.
Mimi.
I was doing that for a while and kind of fell away from that as well. But it's amazing when you're sitting there and thinking about 3 things. It's amazing what you think about when you kind of like drill down
Yes,
about.
say more.
To find 3 things in the morning, you know, sometimes it's just thanks for another day.
Right, which is good.
Yeah,
That's
thanks for the
precious.
Thanks for being 80.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a lot of work.
Yes, yes. Nancy,
Thanks for being able to support myself.
that's
Yes,
big.
yes, very big.
That is big.
Right.
Is it, Mark, is there a problem? Oh, we have to wind down. We're actually winding down. Okay.
What were
Um,
the 3 things that you were gonna say?
Oh, well, I was going to say, make a ritual, 3 things in the morning, 3 things before you go to sleep at night. And then if you're real into it, have a journal of gratitude. And the more you're grateful for, the more you look for the good. You begin to look at the world through a different lens. you get it, right? It improves your mood. It makes you optimistic. And let me see what else I wanted to say about that. Oh, I wanted to tell you a moment I had. I've always thought that I was extremely grateful and that I took nothing for granted. Over the years, I've embraced that as a value. But this summer, when I got a new knee and I was in rehab, in the first couple of days are really hard, but I love my new knee. I'd do it again. But here's the moment where I noticed something big for me. I'm in bed, very uncomfortable. I'm thinking, if only I could move this leg, I'd sleep better. And I couldn't move that leg. And so then when I got home, when it eased off and I began to move in bed, I thought, even positioning yourself in your bed is a gift. Everything is a gift. And when we embrace that, right, Lynn? Goodness, we're more aware of it.
Eileen.
Yes.
Eileen, can you, oh, you can hear me now. I forgot to turn up your volume earlier. That was my mistake. I left the volume down. I wanted to let you know there's a comment in the chat. We have 12 people online.
Wow.
And one of them, Patty,
Yes.
and, also had a response, which was similar to what you said about grateful for waking up and being alive.
Yes.
And she adds a quote from Aristotle: "We are what we repeatedly do."
Oh, we become what we habitually do. Yes.
Just a
Patty,
word to
provide
all the people online. If you want to unmute yourselves now, go ahead. And just, so I think we're in the discussion. We're in the discussion phase, right?
Well, actually, we're winding down soon, but I'll take any
Okay.
questions that are out there.
I just want to make sure all the online participants can join in, because they've been muted until now. Can all the online people hear us? Can you all hear?
Yes.
I had a comment I wanted to make, Patty, and I the one woman talking about comparison. And one thing I want to say, a quote that I heard many years ago that was actually by Danny Thomas, "Own your own race."
I didn't hear the end of that, Patty. This is.
We're getting a little feedback.
Sorry to interrupt.
This quote by Danny Thomas. He told his daughter that she was comparing her to others, and he told her, just like a racehorse, that he has blinders on. They can't see peripherally. They just look straight ahead at the goal. It's what he told his daughter.
Oh, okay. I can repeat that for this group. You didn't hear that, right? Okay, a participant on the Zoom, Patty, was responding to Brent and her obsession with comparison. And she said she was aware of a father whose daughter had that issue. And he told her, think about a horse that has blinders on and only doesn't look to see what else is happening. So I'm not, if that's helpful. Thank you, Patty. Actually, I hope that whoever is on this Zoom will come back June 10th. I wanted to, as you know, we did one stop on the road trip. The next stop was to be Friendship Forest. So we're going to talk about that next time. But meanwhile, I wanted to send this around. This is a plaque which my best friend of 50 years gave me, and it says, "I dwell in possibility." It's from Emily Dickinson. Would you, Rhonda, would you mind passing it? Thank you. So we will resume with a second stop on our road trip. And before we say goodbye, I want to give you an assignment if you choose to accept it. Okay? Until we meet again. So I hope that you will practice what we talked about. Emotional self-care, banishing NST, negative self-talk, expressing gratitude, and begin to think about nurturing friendship. We all need one or two really good friends that we can say anything to that shares our life.
We talk about that?
That, no, we're going to. I'm giving you a preview.
I was gonna say, I just did some of my longest friends have said.
Wow, 70, Lynn.
First grade.
That's wonderful. Bring that up again when we're in the friendship forest.
Okay.
We're going to visit the friendship forest. Okay, then. Here's a handout. That I don't know what we do about the Zoom people for the hand. Would you please? Thank you. This handout, I want you to ponder and reflect on, because one of our stops on the road to recovery, recovering from the pandemic and renewing our spirit, one of our stops is going to be ponder pool. And if you absorb this handout, it will prepare you for our stop there. Okay? So I'll take one more question or comment if anybody. Yes, Sharon?
Sherry,
Sherry?
when you do your gratitude.
Yes, yes.
Are you to try to come up with different ones each day, or are you able to duplicate? Or you try to do like 3 new ones each day?
Whatever works, Cher. Whatever, as, yeah, but you know, what me?
Yeah, when I started, I thought the same thing, but you'll be surprised how when you start to really, when you're laying there and you're thinking about it, new things will pop in all the time. You think, just like you said, a roof over your head, a warm house, air conditioning.
The sun came out today.
Yeah.
Try to think of more.
Yeah, just real earthy things, like if you're in your bathroom, running water. I love bubble baths, so oh, warm water, bubbles. Everything is a gift.
It is.
Let us rejoice.
Everything
And then-
that we have is a gift.
Right, and it is a gift to me that you were all here today and you on Zoom. I'm sorry we couldn't interact more. Maybe on June 10th we'll be able to. But please come back and please embrace renewal spirits. Take care of your emotions. Yes, Lynn.
I've been following John Baptiste for a long time. He's the band leader on Stephen Colbert. And he was nominated for 11, Emmys? And honestly, God, I just love this man. And he was interviewed on Jane Pauley on Sunday morning. And the simplest thing he said, joy is always available.
But we have
He
to.
said, just look at Ukraine, their children singing in the prom.
Yes,
He said, joy is always available.
yes,
Which I thought.
beautiful.
I thought that was
But
so profound.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Lynn. And it reminds me of another look at joy, which is that resentment blocks joy. So if you aren't open, if you are harboring any resentments, you're going to feel less joy. So
Well,
let's encourage joy.
also, when my husband passed, I went to a grief support group. My joy has disappeared and I don't know what to do about that. And the woman told me, if you find peace with your situation, you will get your joy back. I went, okay.
I like
How
that.
am I gonna do that? But it's true.
Good.
And to find peace with our situation that we're in now after COVID, I found it in different ways during COVID, and now I have to find it again. My situation always changes,
Change is the only constant.
but
Yes,
peace and joy are important.
absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Melanie. And
Melanie, there was a time when I didn't think I would be able to love again, ever. It was a similar kind of situation. And it was a couple of years, and then.
I know.
And I fell in love with this ring.
That's the big,
And I realized, yes, I can love again. And the
wonderful.
joy returned, you know, where I've
Yes.
been feeling loveless and joyless.
The-
And the joy returned. And I never know what's gonna bring it back.
No, she's
She's now 20 years old, and I told her this story not long ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I spent Easter weekend in Houston with my 4-year-old granddaughter. And, you know, her imagination is just amazing. We had such a good time playing.
Mhm.
But I'm also a Gigi in March, and I haven't seen my new great grand yet. But, yes.
So much blessings keep emerging. Yes, keep hope alive. There's always blessing coming.
Yes, and I
Yes.
wasn't sure I wanted to make that airplane trip, but I did.
You did it?
Yes,
And
I got a wheelchair to take me
good.
through the Houston airport.
Yes, always order those things. Anyway,
Mhm.
always order.
Mhm. Well, ladies, I have to wind down. It was great to be with you. And I'll look for you June 10th. I'm counting on seeing these faces. Okay, bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining. Oh, dear.
Bye, Eileen. Great talk. Thank you.